हरिओम उत्सव जी, हरिओम।
हरिओम, गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग।
We are very happy to meet you.
You're making me happy also.
Thank
Our pleasure.
मैं सुबह से ही रात से ही इंतजार कर रही थी, कब सुबह हुए कब क्लास शुरू हुई।
I have no words. Okay, let's start. ॐ प्रातः स्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वम् सच्चित्सुखं परमहं सगतिं तुरीयम् यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यम् तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणाम् मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते बोधोऽन्यसाधनेभ्यो हि साक्षान्मोक्षैकसाधनम् पाकस्य वह्निवज्ञानम् विना मोक्षो न सिद्ध्यति Okay, we will chant from verses 32 to 40. 32 to 41 of chapter 11. Verse number 32 to 41. One second, let me increase the size. श्रीभगवानुवाच कालोऽस्मि लोकक्षयकृत् प्रवृद्धः लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे येव स्थिताः प्रत्यनीकेषु योधाः तस्मात् त्वमित्तिष्ठु यशो लभस्व जित्वा शत्रून् भुङ्क्ष्व राज्यं समृद्धम् मयैवैते निहिता पूर्वमेव निमित्तमात्रं भव सव्यसाचिन् द्रोणं च भीष्मं च जयद्रथं च कर्णं तथान्यानपि योधवीरान् मया हतांस्त्वं जहिमा व्यथिष्ठा युध्यस्व जेतासि रणे सपत्नान् संजय उवाच एतत् श्रुत्वा वचनं केशवस्य कृताञ्जलिव कृताञ्जलिवेपमानः किरीटी नमस्कृत्वा भूय एवाह कृष्णम् सगद्गदं भीतः प्रणम्य अर्जुन उवाच स्थाने ऋषिकेश तव प्रकृत्या जगत्प्रहृष्यत्यनुरज्यते च रक्षांसि भीतानि दिशो द्रवन्ति सर्वे नमस्यन्ति च सिद्धसङ्घाः कस्माच्च तेन न मेरं कस्माच्च तेन न मेरन्महात्मन् गरीयसे ब्रह्मणोऽप्याद्रिकत्रे अनन्तदेवेश जगन्निवास त्वमक्षरं सदसत्तत्परं यत् त्वमादिदेवः पुरुषः पुराणः त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानम् वेत्तासि वेद्यं च परं च धाम त्वया ततं विश्वमनन्तरूप वायुर्यमो वायुर्यमोऽग्निर्वरुणः शशाङ्कः प्रजापतिस्त्वं प्रपितामहश्च नमो नमस्तस्तु सहस्रकृत्वः पुनश्च भूयोऽपि नमो नमस्ते नमः पुरस्तादथ पृष्ठतस्ते नमोऽस्तु ते सर्वत एव सर्व अनन्तवीर्यामितविक्रमस्त्वं सर्वं समाप्नोति सर्वं समाप्नोषि ततोऽसि सर्वः सखेति मत्वा प्रसभं यदुक्तम् हे कृष्ण हे यादव हे सखेति अजानता महिमानं तवेदं मया प्रमादात् प्रणयेन वापि. Okay, so having seen the form of the Lord, Arjuna initially was completely mesmerized, and slowly, when that form revealed its destructive side, when the form revealed its not so nice looking side, Arjuna was terrified. When you see something which is greater, grander than you, when you see something which presents a threat to you, you become afraid. It's as simple as that. See, we look back at, there's a difference between Prahlad and how he reacted to the form of Narasimha. Everybody got terrified when they saw the form of a lion man come out of the pillar. You all know the story of Prahlad. You all know the story of Hiranyaksha. He wanted to get his son out of the worship of Vishnu. He wanted his son to worship him and not Vishnu. So he said, what nonsense do you speak all the time that God is all pervading? God is all pervading. Is God there in this pillar? Prahlad said, yes. He's like, you think God is in this pillar? You foolish boy. Okay, let's see if God is in this pillar. Let me break this pillar and look inside and find out. So he broke the pillar with his mighty weapon. And no sooner he broke the pillar than the form of Narasimha emerged from it, absolutely terrifying everyone else. But Prahlad was unmoved. Prahlad didn't get even an ounce of fear, even a little bit of fear. There was not in Prahlad. Imagine a lion pops up in front of you. What will be your reaction? Why? Because Prahlad was completely detached. He had no attachment to his body. He had no attachment to his individuality. The extent to which we have an attachment to our individuality, to the extent to which we have an ego, to that extent we feel a sense of threat when we encounter something that is either not known, cannot be understood, or more powerful than us, bigger than us. So that sense of fear overtakes us, makes us uncomfortable. So Arjuna, because he has an ego, he's not quite that evolved spiritually. Naturally, he feels that sense of fear. Another thing to talk about, worth talking about, is the depiction. He's talked about this form with giant tusks and this, so many teeth, and all the warriors coming into his teeth. That concept is simply depicting the inevitable end of all beings. That form of the Lord which Arjuna sees represents time. In fact, the Lord is going to say it in this verse in 32. That form of the Lord represents time, which is moving almost detachedly. Time has no concern. Acha, a very important period is going on. Please slow down, time. Please slow down. Will time slow down? Oh, this is a very bad period. Please hurry up. Please hurry up. Time, hurry up. Time is detached from the good and the bad, from the favorable and the unfavorable. It's you and I who are attached that get affected by the flow of time. We want a bad moment to pass quickly. We want a good moment to stay on forever. We want those who we dislike to get away from us. We want those who we love and are attached to stay. But time marches forward. It doesn't wait for anyone. And so those warriors and all those beings that Arjuna is attached to, he visualizes them. Don't ask me how he visualizes. He visualizes them entering into the teeth of this great form of the Lord representing time. Means time will devour everything and everyone. Time will devour everything and everyone. And no matter how strong and powerful they are, they will helplessly move towards it. And to represent the detachedness of time, he gives an idea of the Lord licking. The Lord is licking means he's unconcerned with everything else. He's just doing his job of consuming, marching on. So to us, it looks like terrible because we are attached. To us, it looks so ghastly. That's why it's depicted in a ghastly form, in a terrible form. But to someone who is detached, they'll see it with this lens. It won't be so terrible. But Arjuna, being in that position of attachment, is completely overcome by it. He cannot make sense. He says, "Make known to me who you are, O fierce in form. I surrender to you. I don't understand. Tell me your purpose." And so Bhagavan says in verse number 32. Shri Bhagavan Kalosmi lokakshayakrit pravriddhaha lokan samahartumiha pravrittaha rite pitvam na bhavishyanti sarve yeva sthita pratyanakishu yodhaha. We chant even 33 and 34 together with 32. Tasmatamittishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshava rajam samriddham mayaivaite nihita purvameva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. We'll chant it together again. Tasvatmuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajam samriddham mayaivaite nihita purvameva nimitta matram bhava savyasachin. Dronam cha bhishmam jayadratham cha karnam tathanyanapi yodhaviran maya hatam svam jahima vyatishthar yuddhasva jeta sirane sapatnan. So the Lord says, just 1 second, some people are having some trouble. Use this link, not the older one. Oh, they're just saying they're not able to join. Okay, no mind. Okay. The blessed Lord said, Shri Bhagavan Uvach, I am the mighty world destroying time, engaged here in annihilating the worlds. What purpose does time serve? What purpose does time serve? He says, I am the mighty world destroying time. Time's Kalaha. The word is Kalaha. Kalosmi. I am Kalaha. And the purpose of time is Lokakshayakritah. Lokakshayakrit. Destroying the worlds. The purpose of time is to destroy the worlds. Means consume it. In time, everything passes. Whatever is created dissolves into the fold of time. So he says, this form of mind you have seen, I am the mighty world destroying time, engaged here in annihilating the worlds. Not the time is not only against you. You might think, oh my God, time is so mean. It's against me. It's for the whole world. It's not particularly against anyone. People complain, मेरा समय खराब जा रहा है. You don't say, मेरा समय अच्छा जा रहा है. Time is not particularly against you or anyone for that matter. The flow of time, sometimes it is favorable, sometimes it is unfavorable, but time itself is detached. To give ourselves so much importance, we, bring up concept of stars and everything. Oh, my time, my time. There's no such thing as your time. There's no such thing as your time. Time is detached. It's your karma that will determine the outcome, your outcome. You get what you deserve. So I am the mighty world destroying time, engaged here in annihilating the worlds. Even without you, all these warriors arrayed in the opposing armies shall not live. So he tells Arjuna, Arjuna, don't give yourself so much importance. Even without you, you think I am this great warrior who stands between the defeat of the Kauravas and the calling of the war. You think you are oh so great. Even without you, all these warriors in the opposing armies shall not live. Now, listening to this, we think, oh, it is a predestined thing. Oh, it must be written somewhere. No, it's not that. It's not the case. It's an intelligent projection. He's saying these people have asked for their destruction. If not you, someone else will come and destroy them. If not you, someone else will come and destroy them. If not you, then maybe a civil war will destroy them. If not you, maybe some foreign army will come and destroy them. What happens when you have a weak kingdom led by unjust rulers? When you have bad policies, what happens? Your state weakens. It only opens you up to foreign invasions. So these people led by Duryodhan, who are creating this unrighteous society, unrighteous kingdom, it's a matter of time. If you don't destroy them today, they will either destroy themselves through their bad policies, there'll be civil war, or others from outside will come and destroy. And who will suffer? Who will suffer? In a civil war, who will suffer? People will suffer. In a foreign invasion, who will suffer? The kingdom will suffer. So this war is a righteous war. Take it up, man. You're doing what has to be done with actually the least impact, least damage. In fact, this path you are taking is assuring minimal damage. Oh, you're thinking it's the worst thing to do because I'm killing my cousins, I'm killing my teachers, I'm killing mine. It's all that silly mindness. You put yourself in the center of the universe unnecessarily. Even without you, don't put yourself in so much of importance. It's a matter of time before all these warriors shall not live. And he says in verse number 33 and 34, he continues. Therefore, arise and acquire fame. Having conquered the foes, enjoy the prosperous kingdom. Verily, they have already been slain by me. You are a mere instrument, O Sabyasachi. So we've talked about this previously in Karma Yoga, when we discussed Karma Yoga. You have to look at yourself as an instrument of action. When you put yourself in the center, when you have Kartritva Bhavana and you have Bhoktritva Bhavana, when you have an ego in performing the action, and when you have a uncontrolled craving for the result, your action suffers. You get into a mental confusion. You end up not even performing the action properly. You go through all sorts of emotional turmoil. But you ought to look at yourself as a mere instrument of action, someone who has been given these capabilities. That's it. You have been given the capabilities as a warrior. Be that warrior, be that instrument through which the inevitable has to happen. Just as a teacher is designed to teach, just as a preacher is designed to preach, just as a businessman is designed to do business, you are an instrument of your business. Huh? As a CEO, you are a mere instrument of growth and prosperity. That level of detachment you must have. So take up that idea as an instrument without this kartritva bhavna, and arise, acquire fame. Acquire fame. There's no harm in enjoying the results of your actions. There's no harm in enjoying the results of your actions. Please, it is not the result per se that Vedanta is against. It is the craving for the result which spoils your action. It's the uncontrolled obsession with the result. It's the worry and the anxiety for the result that spoils your action. But if you take up an action in a spirit of detachment as an instrument, you have all the world is yours for you to enjoy. This action which you are going to perform, Arjuna, will be remembered for ages and ages, because you're doing something that is righteous. People will be inspired by it. It's two-sided out here. Fame is also an incentive for a warrior. For a warrior, it's not important to live. For a warrior, it's important to be remembered. A warrior is someone who is willing to give their life, but they can manage death, but they can't manage infamy. So acquire fame, enjoy the prosperous kingdom. Remember, you're not fighting for it. You're doing this action out of a spirit of righteousness. You're fighting this war for righteousness. So there's no harm. This is a very, very important message. Just because you enjoy something doesn't mean you're attached to it. Just because you participate in something doesn't mean you're attached to it. Just because you are enjoying the kingdom, enjoying the fame, doesn't mean you're attached to it. Doesn't mean that's your motive in the action. There's a big difference. What Vedanta is against is your attachment to the result, not the result per se. Catch 22. How to get rid of this attachment without getting rid of the... It's a funny situation. But this is the beauty of the philosophy. You detach yourself, the whole world is yours to enjoy. You detach yourself, the whole world is yours to enjoy. And if you are detached, your enjoyment will be more permanent, will be permanent. All other enjoyment is temporary, fleeting. So therefore, Uttishtha, arise. Uttishtha Bharata, lift yourself. Get up from this slumber. Get up from this dejection and acquire fame. Do what you ought to do as a warrior, for which you ought to be remembered. Enjoy the prosperous kingdom. Be a righteous ruler, no doubt. They have already been slain by me. They have already asked for their own destruction. You're just an instrument. You're just an instrument in nature's plan, O Savyasachin. See, this concept of world destroying time, this concept of they have already been slain by me, it's the first verses of the Lord. Ashochanan vashochastvam pragnavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasuncha na anushochandi panditaha. The first verse which he spoke. Gatasun agatasuncha na anushochanti panditaha. There are two kinds of people, gatasun and agatasun. In this world ruled by time, there are those who are gatasun. Gatasun means what? Gone too soon. Huh? And agatasun means not gone yet. Not gone yet. So gatasun means gone too soon. That's how to remember the word. Gone too soon means they've departed. They had a brief sojourn out here and they've departed. And agatasun means in line to go, not yet gone. In line to go. Eventually it will be gone. So that's the nature of the world. That's the role time plays. To swallow everything. If you see it the way it is, you're a philosopher. If you worry and stress and be dejected about it, you're a pessimist. Huh? If you worry and remain dejected about it, you're a pessimist. If you're oblivious to it, you're a fool. If you're oblivious to the march of time, you're a fool. And you're only causing your own suffering. We're all fools. No sooner we meet something than we get attached to it, thinking it'll last forever. We're all fools. And if you sit in dejection, if you become a nihilist, it's not worth it, then you're a pessimist. But if you see it as it is, you're a philosopher. Thin line. Thin line. Be part of it. Be in it. Participate in it. Participate in this world ruled by time. Play your part like an actor plays it on stage. This scene is going to end. It's as simple as that. Be that actor on stage. Enjoy your part on stage. But be ready to get off it also. Therefore, arise and acquire fame. Do what you ought to do as a warrior, and it'll have that impact. You will get fame. Enjoy the prosperous kingdom. There's no harm in it. These people have already been slain. These who you grieve for, they've already been killed. Arjuna, if you don't kill them, you will regret it 2 days later. That is my guarantee. And these people will, if not through you, through others, they will be slain because of their own nature, their own choices, their own manner in which they have dealt with the kingdom. They don't deserve it. They're supporting their own destruction. You'll grieve then also. Just like you're grieving right now. Don't be silly, Arjuna. Don't be silly. And verse number 34, he says, therefore he says, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna, and also the heroic warriors already slain by me, you kill. Be not distressed. Fight. You shall conquer the enemies in battle. Arjuna, I believe in you. See, when you're dejected, you suddenly start to doubt yourself also. You start to doubt yourself. So he's trying to lift Arjuna. Arjuna, you're very capable as a warrior. You shall conquer the enemy. Don't be distressed. I know you can get over this mental stupor. All these people, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, are the heroic warriors. No doubt they are heroic. No doubt they are great warriors. They have already been slain by me because of the side they have chosen, because of the choices they have made. So be not distressed. Lift yourself from this emotional stupor, and you shall conquer these enemies in battle. That reassurance the Lord gave to Arjuna. Sanjaya said, Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjaya Uvacha. Etat shrutva vachanam Keshavasya. Kritanjalir Vepamanah Kiriti. Namaskritva bhuya evaha Krishnam. Sangadgadam bhita bhita pranamya. Sanjaya uvacha. Etat shrutva vachanam Keshavasya. Kritanjalir vepamanah kiriti. Namaskritva bhuya evaha Krishnam. Sagadgadam bhita bhita pranamya. Sanjaya Uvacha. Sanjay said, therefore, having heard that speech of Keshava, the crowned one, trembling, saluting with joined palms, bowing, overwhelmed with fear, spoke again to Krishna in a choked voice. So having heard these words of Krishna, having heard these terrifying words of Krishna, it's quite terrifying in real time. I am the mighty world-destroying time. Suppose Lord Yama appears in front of you. What happens? You'll be terrified. You're a world-destroying time, just don't destroy me. That's what you'll say. So poor fellow Arjuna was here. This is more than he asked for. This is more than he asked for. So having heard that speech of Keshava, the crowned one, he was trembling in fear and saluting with joined palms. He had that spirit of surrender, bowing to it. Overwhelmed with fear, spoke again to Krishna in a choked voice. His voice is not coming out of him. He's maybe we should chant the next few verses also in a choked voice, because Arjuna is speaking in a choked voice. Words are not coming out of his mouth. He's not able to speak properly. You can't take it all. Arjuna said, and we'll chant the next 5 verses together. Arjuna uvacha sthane rishikesha tava prakritya jagat prarishyatyanurajyate cha rakshamsi bhitani disho dravanti sarve namasyanti cha siddha sanghaha kasmacha tene nameran kasmacha tena nameran mahatman gariyase brahmanopyadrikatre ananta devesha jagannivasa tvamaksharam sadasat tatparam ya tvamadideva purusha puranas त्वमस्य विश्वस्य परं निधानं वेत्तासि वेद्यं च परं च धाम त्वया ततं विश्वमनन्तरूप वायुर्यमोऽग्निर्वरुणः शशाङ्कः प्रजापतिस्त्वं प्रपितामहश्च नमो नमस्ते स्तु सहस्रकृत्वः पुनश्च भूयोऽपि नमस्ते. We'll chant this again. Vayoryamognirvarunah shashankah Prajapatistvam prapitamahascha Namo namastestu sahasrakritvah Punascha bhuyopi namo namaste Namah purastadatha prishtataste Namostu te sarvata eva sarva Ananta viryamiti vikramastvam Sarvam samapnoti sarvo samapnoshi tatesi sarvaha. So Arjuna says in a choked voice, Rishikesha, rightly the world is delighted and rejoices in your praise. Rakshasas flee in terror in all direction, and all the hosts of Siddhas, they bow to you. And why not they bow to you? O exalted self, greatest, the primal cause, even of Brahma, O infinite being, O Lord of gods, O abode of the universe, you are imperishable, the being and the non-being, which is supreme. We'll take these two verses first. He says, Rishikesha, rightly the world is delighted and rejoices in your praise. Rightly, now I understand why the world is delighted by you. Because you are so powerful, you're so great and grand. Now I know why they say, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. Now I know this power that you have behind you. Now I understand why these Rakshasas who trouble us, who trouble mankind, these people who cause all sorts of problems in society, now I know why they flee in terror in all directions, hearing about you coming. And all the hosts of Siddhas, all the perfected souls, all the evolved souls who work for the well-being of society, I know now why they bow to you, because of this great power of yours, which you have revealed to me. Now I understand, O Rishikesha. He says, and why not they bow to you, O exalted self? You are the greatest, the primal cause, even of Brahma, O infinite being, O Lord of God, O abode of the universe. You are the imperishable, the being and non-being, which is supreme. So again, here are a couple of intellectual concepts which benefit us as learners. A few indicative definitions. First of all, he calls Brahman the supreme, the primal cause. The primal cause means the first, the initial, the most important cause behind the world. Now, to understand this, it's important you go back to the analogy of the rope and the snake. Brahman, God, is like the rope. The world is like the snake. Brahman, God, Krishna is like the rope. The world is like the snake. The snake has come out of the rope. The snake has emerged from the rope. The snake is an illusory superimposition on the rope. I repeat, the snake has come out of the rope. The snake is an illusory superimposition on the rope. And because of that, we say the rope is the cause for the snake. That's the meaning of primal cause. The rope is the primal cause for the snake. Now, primal cause, it's important when you look at it from this perspective. The rope has not caused the snake as such. In the sense, the rope has no desire to create the snake. The rope has nothing to do with the snake. And yet we say the rope is the primal cause. Why? Because without the rope, there could be no snake. So the immediate cause is what? The ignorance of the rope. You trip upon the rope, you are ignorant of it, and you project a snake. So that's the immediate cause. The rope is the primal cause. The ignorance of the rope is the immediate cause. It's the direct cause, which you can link to the snake. The reason why the snake exists is because you are ignorant of the rope. You can link the ignorance of the rope and the creation of the snake, the existence of the snake. You can't link from a perspective of why it happened. The rope and the snake directly. The rope has nothing to do with the snake directly. Similarly, this world is like the rope. Its primal cause is Brahman. Its immediate cause is ignorance of Brahman. You are ignorant of Brahman. You are ignorant of your real self. As the result, you have projected upon Brahman, just like you project upon the rope an illusory snake. You have projected upon Brahman, upon yourself, this individuality and the world. Upon Atman, you project this ahankar, this individuality. Upon Brahman, you superimpose this world. So where there is Atman, where there is Brahman, you superimpose an individual and the world. Because of your ignorance. No sooner you see the rope than the snake disappears. No sooner you realize the truth, no sooner you realize your real self, you gain that ultimate union with your Atman, with Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. You gain that ultimate realization, this world will disappear, just as the snake disappears. Its reality will be known to you. Or rather, its unreality will be known to you. Just as you wake up from a dream and you realize it didn't happen. Just as you wake up from a dream and you realize it didn't happen, so too will you wake up from this waking state once you gain self-realization. So the primal cause for this world is God. That's what it means. Now you can all go and tell everyone in the world. God is the primal cause, not the immediate cause. God has nothing to do with the world. The world has come out of it. That's the meaning of the verse Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. The world has come out of God, but God is unaffected. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. From the infinite comes the infinite. From the infinite comes the infinite. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The infinite remains. The rope doesn't get diminished because the snake comes out of it, does it? Is there any change in the rope? See, from this glass, there's a glass of water out here. My background is blurred, so you can't see this glass. There's a glass of water out here. Suppose I bring another glass. And from this glass, I put water into another glass. What happens to the water in this glass? It diminishes. When water comes out of this glass, the water in this glass diminishes. So in a normal scenario, when something comes out of something else, that something else diminishes, right? So when we say the world comes out, when we say the rope, the snake comes out of the rope, rope should diminish, no? That's the meaning of illusion. That's the meaning of illusion. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The infinite world, the infinite seeming world, has come out of the infinite Brahman. And having come out, the infinite Brahman remains infinite. Just as the rope remains the rope, there's no change. The rope doesn't diminish in any way. It is unaffected by the emergence of the snake. Similarly, God is unaffected by the emergence of this world. Brahman is unaffected by the emergence of this world. Primal cause. Adikatre. Adikartre. You are the infinite being, Ananta. We just discussed. Ananta means you take out something from it, it remains infinite. That's the meaning of infinite. To be finite means you are subject to addition and subtraction. I can add to you and make you bigger. I can subtract from you and make you smaller. To be finite means I can add to you and make you bigger. You are a finite being. You're a finite being. If you start preparing for a marathon, you will diminish. If you start loading on junk food, you will expand. That's what it means to be finite being. To be infinite means there's no addition or subtraction. You add anything to it, infinite will remain infinite. What is infinity plus 5? Infinity plus 5 is, I'm a mathematician, that's why I'll tell you. It's infinite. Infinity minus 5. Infinity plus 500.
It's always going to be infinite.
Infinity plus 50 billion. Nowadays, we're talking about trillion also, because now some companies are valued at $1 trillion. Infinity plus 50 trillion. When you attain the infinite, no amount of finite can add to you. You are Ananta. No amount of finite can take away from you. You know what is amazing? Infinity plus infinity is also infinity. Infinity minus infinity is also infinity. For that, you have to sit in a maths class with me, not in a Vedanta class. I'll prove it to you. I'll prove it to you that infinity plus infinity is also infinite. Okay, I'll give you a simple proof. Simple proof. This is not Vedanta now. This is math class. You know the odd numbers? What are the odd numbers?
1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11.
What is the sum of all the odd numbers?
Even.
It tends to infinity. It's infinity. The sum of all the odd numbers, it becomes larger and larger and larger and larger beyond conception. It's infinity. You know the even numbers? What is the sum of all the even numbers?
Even only.
Infinity. Now you add the sum of all the odd numbers to the sum of all the even numbers. What do you get? The sum of all numbers.
Infinity.
What is that? Infinity. So infinity plus infinity is just infinity. Nothing can add to it. Nothing can take away from it. When you become infinite, what it means to be infinite is you are untouchable. Totally unaffected. That's what it means to be infinite. The ocean is infinite, almost. How much ever water you take out from it, nothing will happen to it. Suppose the Ganga says, today I don't feel like flowing into the Bay of Bengal. I'm going to stop my flow. Suppose the Ganga says that. What will happen to the ocean? Nothing. In that sense, that's why the ocean has been depicted in the Upanishads. The ocean has been depicted as Brahman, as infinite. So you are Ananta. Anta means end. Ananta means without end. That's why when you name your child Anant, this is what you mean. You mean a being that attains the supreme. You mean you try to connect that child, that individual, with that idea of infinity. Devesha. Deva Isha. You are a lord of the lords. You're a god of the lords, or you're a lord of the gods. Deva Isha. Isha means Lord, Deva means God. Means you're greater than what we worship also. You're greater and beyond than what we worship. Our worship is mundane, and therefore we pitch up gods unto those ends. But even those gods worship you. The gods we worship you. There's in the Kenopanishad, the third chapter, the Kenopanishad has 4 sections. So in the third section, it's a parable. And the parable is all the gods. Vayu, Indra, Agni, all these gods. We worship them, right? So all these gods are celebrating in heaven. Why? Because they have just defeated the Asuras. So they're having a party. They're celebrating. And each one is celebrating. Apne gun ga rahe hain. You know what I did to that Asura? Indra saying, and Vayu saying, you know what I did to that Asura? And Agni saying, that fellow was not a match in front of me, man. See, even the righteous develop an ego. That's the idea. Even the righteous develop an ego. So they are making merry in heaven. Everybody would have been jealous. They wanted to be invited to that party. It was the best thing happening in town. All the gods partying. So suddenly, and this is the actual Upanishad. I'm not making this up, okay? You might think he's creating some funny stories. No, this is actually happening. So in the third section of the Kenopanishad, so this party is happening, and suddenly an apparition appears in the clouds. Some form appears, and all the gods are looking. What is that? What is that? Oh my God. So, and that apparition is like a cloud of thunder. It's making like, it's like making funny motions and everything. So gods start getting a little worried. They start talking among each other, and they say, hey, listen, please, one of us should go and find out. So they say, Agni, please go. And Agni is like, yes, I'm going. I'll go find out what it is. So Agni marches. And imagine Agni as the Lord of fire. He's walking, and a blaze is like, his cape is like a blaze. The majestic Agni is walking with all the big chest, full ego. Agni. So Agni reaches this apparition and looks at it. The apparition says, who are you? Who are you? See, if you're nobody and someone asks you, who are you? You don't feel bad. My name is Utsav Kothari. I am from... But suppose I'm Shah Rukh Khan. Just suppose. And I walk in and someone asks, who are you? So Lord Agni, walking with all that ego, and in 1 second, like a balloon that has been popped, The apparition is asking, who are you? He says, I am Jata Veda. I am Agni. I am the fire god. I am responsible for all the fire out here. I can annihilate all the worlds with my power. That's what Agni says to the apparition. So the apparition says, oh, is it? Agni, is it? Take this blade of grass and burn it. He gives him a blade of grass. He says, burn it. Agni is like, you're joking, man. You want to see what kind of things I have done? I cause wildfires all across the forests. You're telling me to burn a blade of grass? Like, just burn it. Agni is like, Agni thought just by doing a little bit of a blowing some air, he'll be able to burn the blade of grass. Nothing happened. He got a little startled. He thought maybe it was in the wrong direction. He tried a little harder. Nothing burnt. Tried a little harder. Nothing happened. He put all his strength into it. And he, whatever, flamethrower, imagine. Nothing happened to the blade of grass. And sheepishly, Agni walked back. Like a dog with his tail between his legs. A dog is scared, they put their tail between the legs. And they're like, no, sheepishly. So Agni walked back like a dog with the tail between his legs. Walked back to the party. He said, I couldn't understand what that is. But he didn't tell them what happened, because otherwise he would be insulted in front of all his peers. He didn't tell him that I couldn't burn a blade of grass. He just said, I couldn't figure it out. So then they say, why you go? Please find out. Agni is having a bad day. Same thing happened. Who are you? He gave him a blade of grass. Tried to blow it, nothing happened. Again, Vayu also walks back with his tail between the legs. And then Indradev says, let me go. I know you guys were good for nothing. Let me go and find her. And Indradev goes. And the moment he sees that apparition close up, he bows. Unlike Agni and Vayu, Indradev bows. Indra represents the mind and the intellect. Indra represents the mind and the intellect. The mind and the intellect are your tools with which you can conceive and direct yourself in the direction of spiritual knowledge. It's the tools with which you can connect to the spiritual, connect to God. You can't quite merge with. It's insufficient, but it helps you create that connection. Just like you are here in this class with your mind and intellect trying to make sense of this knowledge. So the moral of that story, the idea of that story is nothing can function without the enlivening principle. The bulb cannot function without the electricity. The heater cannot heat without the electricity. The cooler cannot cool without the electricity. All the devas are the different appliances. Those heat, those cool, those give air. They are all devas. But the electricity is Brahman. So even the devas worship Brahman. Devesha. Devesha. The underlying Lord of everything. Even of the devas. Jagan Nivasa, abode of the universe. The substratum on which everything is occurring. The screen on which everything is projected. The mighty ocean upon which all the waves rise and fall. Imperishable, Aksharam, which is beyond the perishable, beyond birth and death, that which does not change, that which does not perish. Sat and Asat, that which manifests within living beings and also exists beyond as unmanifest, Asat, covering all living, animate, inanimate beings and existing even beyond them. Tat Param, that is supreme, that incredible, supreme Paramam, Brahman. I recognize. So Arjuna says, I recognize in you. You are that imperishable, that abode of the universe, that supreme Paramam, that Anantam, that Adikartre, oh God. That's why all these beings bow to you. That's why all the Rakshasas. So he's praising the Lord. We don't know if Arjuna understood the meaning of these words, but at least you and I have had the luxury of the last 45 minutes to understand what these concepts mean. And he continues with the various indicative definitions of the Lord, which we will discuss in the next class. So we'll continue from verse number 38. Arjuna speaks for another 2-3 verses, 3-4 verses in this describing the Lord, which we will discuss on the coming Tuesday. So with that thought, we'll conclude today, and I'm happy to take up any question.
Utsav, why is it there are no temples of Brahma? There's only one temple which is somewhere in the south. But why do we not?
That
We
one
need
temple
to-
is in Pushkar. That one temple is in Pushkar, Rajasthan.
Okay, Pushkar. I knew somewhere.
temples. One is in the south and one is in Pushkar. Multiple reasons. I think first and foremost, the philosophical reason. First and foremost, the philosophical reason is Brahma represents creation. Brahma is a foray into further ignorance. The idea, what we seek to do in this life, is not to create further ignorance, but to manage what we've created and dissolve it. Whatever we've created, we want to at least manage it well, and then eventually dissolve it and gain moksha. So Vishnu represents the managing of things, managing of the problems, and Shiva represents the dissolution of the problems. We don't want any more creation of problems. So that's why we don't worship Lord Brahma as such. There was a time when Brahma Dev was worshipped. Historically also, at least from, this is what historians believe, that there was a time when Brahma worship was prevalent in this land. And over a period of time, just as the Vaishnavite and the Shaivite sects have come about, right? There used to be a big following, a sect of people who used to sort of worship Brahma, but it died out over time, especially with philosophical influence. As and when sort of philosophers sort of gave knowledge to people, slowly they sort of shifted their deities, right? The idols of worship and their gods as such. So the primary reason is philosophical.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Brahma. Okay. With that thought, we'll conclude and we'll see you Tuesday. So we'll continue with
Utsav, can I ask you one thing, please? The number for the joining has changed. Are we going to be using this one, or are we going to be using the one which starts with the 5?
No, we're going to be using this one going forward. Right?
Okay. Right. Thank you.
So disregard the old one. Now this is a
Okay.
recurring meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
So
And
I'll-
even for Monday and Wednesday, it will be the same or it will be
No,
different?
Monday and Wednesday will be different.
Okay. Thank
Sorry
you.
to complicate your life.
No, no, no. I just today I couldn't get on, and then I said, no, let me look if it has changed, and that's how I.
So we'll
So
have
that-
two distinct IDs. One for
Okay. Thank you.
Thank